Hi guys, how you guys doing? My name's Ritika. I'm a third year kinesiology student at UBC, and I'm here joined with Ravina Anand. She's the co-founder of FLIK, a woman-oriented platform dedicated to empowering and connecting driven women through apprenticeship. So, hi Ravina, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No, thank you to you. Thank you so much for taking out the time today to come here and share your thoughts and your experiences with us. And if I have your permission, we can just get started with it.
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay, perfect. Like I have known you because I'm a part of your platform, but like for other people to get to know you a little more, would you kind of like to introduce yourself and tell them a little bit more about your platform?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Ravina. I'm a born and raised Albertan. I attended the University of British Columbia for my master's degree. And yeah, a little bit about what my co-founder Michelle and I have been building is a platform which helps connect women entrepreneurs with other women who are looking for meaningful mentorship, skills training, and career relevant experience through these incredible apprenticeships which can take place virtually and remote from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. And believe me, guys, it's an incredible platform. I myself am part of it and have gained a lot of incredible experience through it. So definitely go check it out. And kind of before I get into, those really nitty gritty details, I would like to know from you in terms of like, how would you like, if you had like 30 seconds to explain like your journey overall from the beginning to the end? Like, can you give us a gist of like how it all began to now where you are? And then how it all happened in a way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, wow, that's a tough thing to do. I mean, essentially my co-founder and I were randomly roomed together. We encountered similar issues during our entrepreneurial experience and we decided to create a space and community where other women didn't have to encounter the barriers that we went through and hopefully would be inspired to start their own business one day through a social impact lens.
Oh, definitely. Oh, wow. That was a really good summary. I think I know now what all FLIK stands for. And like, I'm just kind of wondering because I know with a lot of startups and businesses, there are many times you face certain challenges, when you are starting your business. Were there any times when you and your co founder might have come across like certain challenges that you have faced? And if you all did, whether it be like, in terms of your professional abilities, personally, like emotionally, kind of dealing with all the stresses, and kind of how did you overcome those things?
Yeah, I think the journey in itself is something to overcome, and you continue to work at it every single day. So there's definitely challenges that you're dealing with on a daily basis. And I think it's having that mindset that you can be proactive and that you can solve the problem at hand or the issue at hand and continue to really reflect on why you're doing what you're doing. And ultimately, for both of us, it's been the fact that we are creating something that's very mission based and purposeful for creating something for women on a global scale. And so I think when you have purpose and you have a mission, you're
Yeah.
able to put aside and sort of hone down in and have those blinders on to make sure that you're continuously working for that overarching purpose that you have. And so every day's a battle, but I think ultimately in the end, it's that mission that gets you through everything and having a mindset that you can overcome, be proactive, and solve the problem at hand, and then move on to the next day, which I'm sure will have issues in itself.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point because I feel like many a times, like if I feel our end goal is clear and we know what we want to do towards the end, and if that objective is something which serves to like empower or do good for society overall, I think whatever you plan will somehow in the end just turn to be right and it'll just contribute to that direction. And I think all you just have to keep doing is kind of just believing in yourself even while you're facing those challenges. So I think like since we're kind of just talking about challenges, I would just like to dwell on this topic a little more and kind of just ask, like, I know since you work with a co-founder, like, you have that, like, because you are a team, like, you have that support, and that teamwork is always so much better than individual. But
Mhm.
like individually, would you say anytime, like if you have faced a challenge, would you say that there is a certain mindset that you adopt to overcome it? Or is there some advice that someone else gave to you and you were like, you know what, I got this, I can do this? Like, was there anything in particular that kind of just has helped you, whether it be in your school years, your university years, and now that you're all grown up that has kind of helped you to keep going on and on?
Yeah, I think it sort of goes back to what I said before is mission and purpose. So, not just within the company and what we're trying to create, but having that internal reflection on what is my purpose here, while I have this opportunity to build and create in a country such as Canada, which is an amazing opportunity in itself, and leverage the privileges and the opportunities that are around us constantly to create accessibility for those that don't have similar opportunities and privileges. And so I think for me personally, acknowledging that I'm in this incredible country, but that I have a duty and service to ensure that other people who come from different backgrounds, different citizenship statuses, or different geographical places around the world also have access to what I have access to. And so I think technology has been one of those aspects that we can leverage in order to ensure that there is um, equal access to all these amazing resources that are out there.
No, definitely. I feel like that is one thing we forget. Like, many a times we'll always talk about, oh, is there any one quote or any one, like, mindset that you kind of live by? But I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to like, if you have a purpose which you're really passionate about achieving and you know it's going to do a lot of good,
Mhm.
you just have to put your heart and mind to it. Like, I feel like there's no option in that case or any choice. And
Yeah.
like, since you just mentioned about like the idea of access and privileges, I was just wondering, like, being a South Asian woman yourself, like during your journey of like starting your own business, like from the beginning, like were you always in Canada, or like did you like move here, like were
Yeah,
you?
I'm a born and raised Edmontonian,
Okay.
but my family immigrated from India, and so it's that traditional story in a sense where your parents came over to a new country and built something for themselves and allowed you to be in an environment where you could hopefully take advantage of the education that was here and then continue to constantly give back to your community and be of service.
Yes. No, yeah. And like my question was revolving around the same area that you touched upon, that, like I know like a lot of like South Asian women who kind of move to Canada or like any other place in the world. Like, like during the university years, like someone like myself, I feel like because you have been born and brought up in India, and you have been exposed to those ideologies for a longer period of time,
Mhm.
many a times you might come across people having certain stereotypes with you progressing or even going abroad, say for like for a matter of fact, like being a woman and especially a woman of color. I think like I'm just inquisitive to know, like, with you having been born and brought up here, but because you're still like a South Asian, would you feel like even that change in location might not have had as much of an impact, or do you think like coming to Canada would have in some way provided you with a lot more opportunities and with a lot more like open mindedness in a way to kind of do what you want? Because especially when we talk about entrepreneurship, I feel
Mhm.
like historically it's been seen as something which is like a men's area. Like, in a sense, like it traditionally used to see only like men opening up their own businesses and, women just doing their own thing. So, like, would you say that kind of had an impact in what you were doing, or because you coming to Canada just served as that protective shield that protected you from all of those stereotypes in a way?
Yeah, I definitely think that I've been fortunate enough to be born here and to be in an environment where I felt like my parents did really support me and the work that I wanted to do initially. And I can see definitely how, for anyone, regardless of where they're coming for, going through that immigration process and coming to a new place, as a woman, of course, like you mentioned, can be a very difficult experience. And so that's what a lot of our parents also went through, that similar thing of, oh, you're going to leave. But, I think you touched on it pretty well, of that lived experience for South Asian women having to leave their country and come alone and study here or decide to take advantage of any other opportunity that's presented to them in a new place, and having to deal with what might be the consequences back home or the perceiving stereotype that they have to go through when they're coming over to somewhere like here with or without someone. And yeah, I think you touched on it great. I can't speak on
Yeah.
that type of lived experience, but as you mentioned it, I can definitely resonate with why it could be tremendously difficult because I saw my parents also go through it.
Now, like, since you have like maybe seen your parents go through it, do you think like you would have any advice or anything you would like to say to some of the girls out there who are still in university, who kind of like, want to make something of themselves, want to do a business, or do something, like kind of aspire and achieve things, and but they're being held back by, say, like friends or like certain things that other people say? What would you like to tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there are these different barriers that we all face, whether they're physical barriers or they're emotional and mental. And it sort of comes around the space that you put yourself in and the way in which people perceive one another. And I think we all know that we sort of face, either what our family will say or what our friends would say. But ultimately, I think in the end, through a lot of deep reflection and work on yourself, of course, there comes a point where you just have to get started, start building, start creating. And even if you do that in private, that's okay. You're doing the work, you're building something that you're passionate about, that you have conviction in and knowledge in. And that's okay. Give yourself that space to do that and explore your creativity. And I just think if you have an idea, go for it. Start building, start testing things, reiterate. And that doesn't have to be technically like a business idea. It could be any type of venture, nonprofit, social enterprise, really anything, even pitching an idea for a small program within your community or taking initiative to apply for something that you resonate with. There's so many different things, right? But just taking that first step to acknowledge that if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to build it, someone else might as well. And I'm sure you want to be part of either their journey or start building it for yourself because you're obsessed with it, you love it, and you want to create it and dive into that world. So, my biggest thing would just be get started. I know it can be hard. Um, I did a lot of the things when I was building and creating in private, and I do continuously actually try to sort of stay in that direction most of the time because I'm a doer. I don't really love all the additional things that can come with that, but it's a process and it's a journey in itself. So just get started.
Yeah. No, I think I really like it's actually coincidental because I was talking to my parents in the morning, and I think something that you just mentioned, that work in private. I think that is something they always emphasize to me. They're like, if you're working on a project or like a big thing you aspire to do in the future, do that in a time that you have by yourself, and don't say it to people too early on, because many a times, like you don't want to hear people say, oh, you cannot do this or that, and you don't want to distract you from the main objective in life. So kind of, I think like from your conversation also, what I get back is like just kind of like focus on what you want to do, like find something you resonate with. One, two is like reflect, how you can kind of go about it, be obsessed with it, and just kind of like keep going, and just be confident while doing it. I think that is what I hope I took back.
Yeah.
That is
No, that's exactly it. And I think on the other hand, though, there are individuals out there, it's just not who I am, who like to build in public and who like to enunciate their idea and get that support and attract other people who are interested in that mission. And that's okay too. It really just depends on who you are and how you like to execute on things. It's not my personal style, but I definitely support individuals who like to go that route and who want to share it with the world initially. That's what makes us all so different and just human beings in general.
Yeah. So I think like do what is best for you.
Yeah.
Like since we were kind of talking about reflection, you mentioned that a lot of many times. So I was like, let's kind of reflect back, take a seat back. And I was just kind of like inquisitive to know, like in the past, like if you were to go back 5 to 6 years ago, do you think you envisioned yourself to be where you are today?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Since the very start, I've been very interdisciplinary. So I've always really enjoyed being in different areas and industries and bringing things together from all the way from like the sciences to the humanities and in between. And I think that I'm not completely surprised as to where I've ended up because I was always someone who didn't believe there was a box. Everyone tries to put you in a box and um, keep you in there and narrow down your focus, but that's not who I was. I was more of a deep generalist. I liked um, every type of industry, and then within those industries there was something very specific, and I saw them all as interconnecting. And yeah, I think all my experience till date, if you went through, there is a cohesive narrative that sort of brings me to this spot. And I'm sure in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, I'll also be somewhere in a very different space potentially. And I'll say the same thing, it didn't surprise me because I've always loved diving into new places and new industries and formulating something special where I can take knowledge from each place.
Yes. No, I think definitely, and I think I really resonate with that. And I think when you mention about the box analogy, I think I really like the idea and the way that you put it, because I feel like many a times, like especially even university curriculums, they try and narrow you down to specific things like specializations. But I think at the end of the day, it's all about, I mean, everyone's different. Some people like being specific, but I feel like if you're not sure of what you want to do, keeping those options open works really well in the future, because then you can deviate in whatever direction you feel like doing in that.
Mhm.
So I think that is a really good advice also, I would say, definitely. And I think like since we're kind of like now moving towards the end, I feel like I just want to kind of continue on the path of reflection and just kind of like ask you, like, if you could go back, like, would you say that there is anything you would want to change, or like do something differently, or like, in a way that if you could like talk to your 18-year-old self now, would you say something specifically to her?
I feel like this is what everyone says, but everything's going to be okay. There's nothing that I necessarily regret. I think that as you go through your whole career and just your lifetime in general, everything is a learning opportunity. And that's the way I've always seen everything. There might be lows, failures, but I think that whole thing, my mindset's always just been it's part of the learning process. And certain things happen and circumstances happen because it's always a teaching moment and it helps you grow in certain aspects. And I think that's just a part of life in general. So, yeah, I think, you make decisions with the information you have at the moment. Uh, Sometimes they're the right one, sometimes they're the wrong one. You learn from them, you move on, and you continue to sort of push through and have that resilience and grit to get through the next thing.
Yes, no, definitely. I think that just brings me to our last question, which is like, in terms of like, since we're ending, I would want people to really go check out your platform. So, like, is there like, what would you like to say, people like to say to other students out there who are looking for opportunities in terms of FLIK, how they can kind of join the platform, or how can they kind of get involved and be a part of the incredible process?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Flick is a community first, right? We created this to for women from all different walks of life and diverse backgrounds from around the world to be able to come together. And ultimately, we want to create a space where women can connect with each other and hopefully find an opportunity that is on their own terms and gives them the autonomy and flexibility to decide what skills they want to learn and gain that one-on-one meaningful mentorship that's often missing in a lot of places. And for that to be done virtual and from anywhere in the world is something special because I think often being in North America, for example, we have ample amount of resources in certain areas, whether online or on our campuses, that a lot of people don't either know about or even have access to in other countries. Even going to a certain university, you have access to a career center, a co-op place, or you're afforded certain privileges once you graduate with a certain type of degree with a certain program. But the reality is that's not how it looks like for other people in other countries. And we had built this platform so that we could eliminate those borders and open up opportunity for women to just simply connect with one another and know that there might be something else out there. Um, and so, yeah, if you're looking for community, if you're looking for a place to connect with other women, then hopefully Flick can be a resource to you and can help you on your journey to finding whatever it is afterwards. If you want a job or an internship, a fellowship, or you want to start your own business, hopefully that experience inspires you to go in that direction or be able to land that type of opportunity.
Yeah, no, definitely. Is there any one phrase you would like to leave us all with, like from the Flick community, let's say, overall?
From the FLIK community.
Like in terms of like
Oh,
any like motivational thing that you think can like just help people like go for it.
yeah,
And
I feel like you just said it, but I think it goes back to what I said earlier. Just get started. It's never too late and it's never too early. If you're passionate, you can go for anything that you want. Just put your mindset to it, hone in on it, focus, reflect, and hopefully you can get to the place that you want to be. And just know that, you know, Michelle and myself, we're always here for you. We're very proactive within the FLIK community. So if you ever need anything, you can always reach out to us. We're here to lend a helping hand.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Ravina, taking out the time today. It meant a
Yeah.
lot.
Thanks
And
for having me.
I hope you continue to have an incredible journey. And I hope everyone goes and checks out the Flick platform. It is amazing. I can speak from my own experience. So thank
Thank
you.
you.